Ira Epstein with your metal market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for the evening of Monday, and we're at the 7th of October, 2024. Well, we didn't have any real economic news today. I'll show you in a second. The U.S. debt numbers came out and consumer spending and where that went, and I'll give you a look at that. We had the anniversary today, obviously, of October 7th in Israel, and that's got a lot going around the world. Protests on all sides of the world, pro and con, end the war, do this, do that. So it's an interesting time there. In the marketplace, we were down again, as the market is still being weighed on by that monstrous jobs report that we saw on Friday. 250,000 roughly jobs. The unemployment falls to 4.1%. The unwinding of trade ideas has been going on. Bonds and notes, while they're up a little bit tonight, they have been falling to the point where you took the 10-year back over 4%. So this is a market that was recently down 3.7, 3.6, come back up. Mortgage numbers, you can count on them. They're going to rise, so we'll see what the impact of that is. The dollar finished about unchanged, and you were close to that in the euro. Where you got a bid was in the Swiss franc today. British pound sinking back towards the 130.80 level. But let's take a look, if we could, at the news for the day tomorrow. You got first this afternoon at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time, we had U.S. consumer credit. Went up overall $8.9 billion. You fell in the revolving, and the non-revolving went up 10.3. So the U.S. consumer still taking on debt. Tomorrow we're going to get at 5 in the morning, and it's not a market-moving event. We get the National Federation of Independent Businesses, and they'll have their September Business Optimism Index. Then we're going to get the August trade balance data at 7:30 in the morning. Redbook Group comes out at 7:55 with their retail sales numbers. They've been running about 5.25% to 5.5% week over week and year over week numbers. Atlanta Fed President Bostic will speak to the Atlanta Consular Corp luncheon at 11:45 Central Time, and we'll get the API numbers at 3:30 in the afternoon. So a lot going on right there. So what we've looked at is the gold, as you know, got up over 2,700 recently, slipping back. The silver's lost about $1 off its highs. Now, keep your eye on copper. Tomorrow morning, we're supposed to get from China another idea as to what they're going to do for stimulus. And this could be for public assistance. It could be for infrastructure. We're not exactly certain. Platinum market slipping down a little into an interesting support area as well. So when you take a look at gold for the week, which just began, and we're only into a day and a quarter of trading, not even that, a day and a couple of hours, 2 hours, you're down 0.4%, holding on. When we take a look at this chart, you're going to see that the swing line is turned down. So you have lower highs, lower lows. So the short-term trend of the market is broken to the downside. Support should come in at the 18-day average of closes as the first test. That's at least what I'm looking for. With the resistance at the Bollinger Band that you had ridden up here, then you finally broke away. And generally the weight of that takes you back to the 18-day average of closes, especially if you had an embedded reading. Now that occurs when the two lines here, the K and the D liners, they're called, and they're going sideways over 80 like they were here. And when the red line finally closes under, in my version, 79. I say my version, I've modified these numbers. They will not match up exactly with yours. I give the formula to my subscribers so they can go in and change it. And it is not the faceplate where you go, well, do I want to use a 20 or a 14 period of time? Do I want the number to be 70 or 30? No, that's not it. It's inside the formula. If you don't know how to do it, it won't help you at all. But I find that the way that I did it, there's a better, from my perspective, a better weighting of it, and that weighting gives me a better look-see at the marketplace. So I'm looking for support. I am not looking for gold to fall apart. I am very much looking for the gold market and the silver market for this decline to be one that offers stability at these price levels coming in. When we go to the gold-silver ratio, Each time we've recently come up, since we have been underneath this red line, the 18-day average of closes of the difference, the market has backed away. In the silver, I'm looking for the 18-day average to be hit. We're just about there. You had lost your bullish embedded reading. If it holds there, that will be very interesting. So it's truly between 31.68 all the way here into the 30.60 area, that dollar area, that I'm looking for the market to find its footing before we rally later on this year, not next year, this year, up again. In the copper market, why gamble on what China says or doesn't say? You're in a corrective mode. The reason copper has rallied is this is all on the come of what copper could do if China enacts all the right things. Now, I did read that over the Golden Dragon period, that real estate visits to buy new real estate, new homes, picked up dramatically. So that is a good thing on their side. They've lowered mortgage rates. They got to drop by about 3 basis points to 50, in other words, 0.3 of a point to a half a point on the rate before the end of October. So there's a lot of refinancing that is going on. If you're going to buy a home, they're working with you on that. If you're not a local in Shanghai, for example, you can now buy. You were barred from buying as a non-local, or if you had to get a special license to do so. A lot of changes taking place as they try to revive their market. We'll see what happens. I think tomorrow's statement in it's going to be very important because they're trying to find a way to give the consumer confidence again. What the consumers watched is a stock market in China that has run dramatically up in about a month's time, 35–40%. I don't know if you're aware of that. The question is it ahead of itself? And it most likely is when you get runs like that. So you got to be a little bit cautious on it. People have been trying to get involved in many ways. In the platinum, I was looking for a pullback to see if it would support itself at the 18 and the 100-day average. It did not. Once it cleared this low that you see me pointing at, next stopping spot's right here. I don't expect it to drop dramatically from that point. Could it? Yes. And I say that because while the daily chart is down, the weekly chart is a better looking chart. In the dollar index, well, you get 250,000 new jobs plus, you take the unemployment rate, you unwind everything. So this was a market in a phenomenal downtrend. And it all changed just in the past 1, 2, that's including tonight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Not even maybe a week ago today, this is when the whole thing changed. I kept pointing out to people too, when the Fed cut its interest rate, that rates weren't falling. And I kept saying, the market is doing something different. It's anticipating something different. It's relentless in what it's doing. And then we finally saw the market unwind. Now, this unwind probably is close to running itself out. And then the market has to decide how bad did the Fed, not the Fed, how bad did the market get it? The Fed's going to be a mixture of dependent on the data that they're going to get out of the reports, CPI, PPI, and they're going to also be looking, obviously, to get ahead of the market. So look at all it that way. I'll be keeping you up with that and a lot more. Sorry if you're hearing noise in the background. Something just went off in our studio. And you can keep up with what I do in my outside day course. Now you'll say, how do I do that? Well, with that course, you get my access to all my information for 2 weeks. So you'll be able to see how that plays out. Just go to iraepstein.com. You heard what I said, iraepstein.com. Go to the word courses. They're all there. Or move your cursor right up here. 9 video chapters, the charting software, the market research. I show you the days as they're unfolding with the outside days and how to work with them. I'm Ira. You have yourself a great evening. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.